Hello friends, Other Ben here from Motocamp Nerd. Let's talk about 11 hacks that you can use to make your next motorcycle camping trip even better. That's a lot to do in a short video, so we're gonna go fast. Hack number 1, and this one comes from our friend the Graceful Renegade, who is a champion of this particular piece of gear. Bring a tarp. You never know when you're gonna find a use for a tarp like this, rain or shine. If it's sunny, you can set it up to have additional shade. You can use it if your friend crashes and breaks his leg and you can't move him and you need to get him out of the sun. Done that before. You can use it as a wind block. You can throw it on the ground to have something to stand on that isn't the ground. You can use it as a tablecloth on a nasty picnic table. You can set it up over your tent when it's raining and set up your tent and everything underneath without getting it all soaked. The only thing that gets wet is this tarp. And this is a 10 by 12, and you can see it doesn't get very big, and you can get a smaller tarp than this. This is maybe overkill, but carry a tarp with you. It has a ton of extra uses. Highly recommended piece of kit to have with you at all times. And speaking of highly recommended pieces of kit to have with you at all times, you knew it was coming, at least if you follow me or my channel at all, but the humble neck gaiter is one of the most versatile and useful pieces of camping gear and motorcycle riding gear out there. You already know that you can put it on your head to protect yourself from the sun. If you're riding in a group, you can use it as a mask to keep dust out of your mouth. It'll keep the sun off of your neck and bees out of your collar, but that's just while riding. This is a motocamping video. When is it useful when you're motocamping? Great question. Well, let's say you're camping in the desert where it gets sunny at 4 a.m. and you want to sleep longer than that. Well, guess what? I now have a sleep mask. Or you're out somewhere freezing cold and you want to keep your head warm while you're sleeping. Well, guess what? It's an impromptu beanie. This thing can be used as a dish rag. I only use it on clean dishes, but I use it to wipe the moisture out of my jet boil before I put it back together so the bottom of the can doesn't get rusty. You can use it to wipe off your silverware. You can clean off your visor. You can set it down as like a placemat on a crappy picnic table and eat on top of it. There's a bazillion uses for these things, and I just highly recommend that you carry one and keep it with you. You can keep the sun off your head at camp. You can soak it with water and wear it around your neck to keep yourself cool. Highly recommend neck gaiters. I like the ones made out of this kind of dry fit t-shirt material, like the Dork in the Road one they sell on motocampnerd.com, but any neck gaiter is super useful and I highly recommend it. Motocamping hack number 3, packing cubes or dry bags, something that you can use to separate out different gear for different applications, and it just makes it easier to find things in your bag. It makes it easier to pack your bag. It makes it quicker and easier to pack up, and you can do things like compartmentalize. So this is my bag that goes with me on every trip, and in here is things I use on every trip or want to have with me on every trip. Toilet paper, a little bit of paracord, I got my fire starter kit, my knife, you know, my coffee fixins, all of that is in this bag. So anytime I grab this bag and throw it in, which is any trip, in the car, on the bike, whatever, I know I have the bare essentials covered. The other thing you can do with these packing cubes, or you can even use a dry bag like this one here. So you forgot your pillow, well, you can stuff your jacket or a sweater or some clothes inside it. It's an impromptu pillow. Whatever it is, packing cubes and additional containers that don't take up extra space really are super useful for storing, organizing your gear, and just like a million other uses. Hack number 4, carry extra straps. I take giant loop pronghorn straps or rock straps, and often both, with me every time I go camping. There's a pair on the rear of every motorcycle I have. They're incredibly handy in a bunch of situations. They weigh nothing and take up no space. You're losing nothing by having them on the bike. So if you're riding and you want to take your jacket off, you can strap it to the back of the bike quickly and easily. You don't want to wear your backpack, you can strap it to the back of the bike. You stop to get a 12 pack or some firewood, you can strap that stuff to the back of the bike, or your luggage strap breaks, or your backpack strap breaks, or a strap or a line on your tent breaks. Whatever it is, you can get a ton of use out of these. I've heard tell of them being daisy chained together and used as toe straps. There's no reason not to carry extra straps with you on the bike. They have a ton of different uses beyond what even I've suggested. So number 4, extra straps. Motocamping hack number 5, probably my favorite hack, the dry bag cooler. So this is an inner liner dry pod from a giant loop bag. You can also use just about any bag that will either hold water or at least mostly hold water. It's nice to have a separate bag. That's why I like this trick. And so you can put a bag of ice in this bag to keep it from getting anything else in your pannier wet. So you go to camp, you set up, and you want to go into town and get beverages. You put a bag of ice in this, put it in the bottom of your pannier, put your beverages and food and stuff on top. Or dump the ice out into this bag because it's waterproof. It's a dry bag, right? Dry bags work both ways. Put your beverages inside so that they're embedded into the ice. keep them ice cold all night. 6 and 7 kind of go together. So this is just a piece of gear that's not really designed or specifically made for motorcycle camping, but something that is incredibly useful for motorcycle campers because we're all about minimizing packing space and utilizing space as efficiently as possible, right? So this is a bike packing tent. So it's designed for people that camp off of bicycles. They don't really make moto camping tents specifically yet, something you might see in the future. Not that I'd know anything about that. This is a tent that has 12-inch pole sections. That's the key here, which makes it fit into places much more easily. Into panniers, into a rackless saddlebag, into pretty much anything you want to put them in. Now, these tents are not cheap, so this is not a cheap saving money hack, but it's a space saving hack. Most tents have 18-inch pole sections and they're very difficult to put in a pannier, so you end up strapping them on top of your bike. This one, 12 inches. These are not cheap, like I said, so this is more of a, you go camping all the time and you want to invest in making your setup a little smaller and more compact, but bike packing tents are a good one. And along with that, one of my favorite space-saving hacks, particularly for summer camping, but this can actually work in cold weather too, is don't bring a sleeping bag, bring a quilt. A quilt is set up so that it straps to your sleeping pad. Your sleeping pad forms the bottom, which means it's half the size or less than half the size of a traditional sleeping bag. They're often made of down, have down insulation, so they pack down very small, like this big, as opposed to some of the sleeping bags I have that are like this big. So if you're trying to save space in your bags, a quilt is a very comfortable and easy way to do that. Again, not cheap. This is when you're trying to upgrade your setup and get to a little bit more compact setup, but something to consider as you move on your gear journey is quilts instead of sleeping bags. Moto camping hack number 8, and this is one that will seem obvious, but I never fail to go on a trip and have somebody there with me that hasn't done it or hasn't thought of it. Camp shoes. Some people want to clomp around in their riding boots all day, like whatever, I guess, but I really like to carry either like these are the Merrell Hut Mocks that have a nice rubber bottom for walking around camp. In my bag, they pack down nice and compact. These are Jasper Chukkas from Your Soul, and they pack down super flat, as you can see. And these are kind of cool because they're like sustainably produced. So this is recycled cork sole and upcycled bison fur. They're very comfortable shoes. Wearing your riding boots all the time is bad for a few reasons. They never have a chance to dry out if you get them wet or sweat inside of them. So either in the winter or the summer, there's a reason to get those boots off. Your socks also need to be out of those boots so that they can dry out and air out a little bit. If you're wearing your boots all the time, you're rubbing the same pressure points all the time, you're gonna get more blisters, you're gonna be less comfortable, and just give your feet and legs a break and an opportunity to breathe. Swap out your shoes. It is worth this much space in your pack, in my opinion. These aren't heavy. So moto camping hack number 8, slippers or camp shoes. Moto camping hack number 9, perhaps the most controversial one, is steal stuff. Don't be afraid to steal stuff. What? That's not ethical. What are you talking about? I'm not talking about going to Target and putting a Nintendo Switch in your pocket. I'm talking about things like condiment packets, sugar packets, salt and pepper packets, ketchup or mustard packets from a fast food place or the deli at the grocery store where you buy your food, napkins or paper towels from a rest stop or a restaurant or a store, a shopping bag that you can use for garbage at camp and then easily carry to a garbage can, pack out of the woods with you. Things like that. Shampoo and soap from hotels when you stay in them. Those things are super useful when you're camping. They're there for your use. So while I'm saying steal stuff facetiously, what I mean is take advantage of things that are offered for free along the journey. Having salt and pepper packets in your kit is a lifesaver. More than once I've arrived at camp, set up, had a couple beers, went to cook my steak and realized I didn't bring any seasoning. So having salt and pepper packets, man, makes a big difference when you're cooking. Or just having sugar packets or sweet and low packets for your coffee in the morning. A bar of soap to clean up things. Just even if it's just an emergency thing that you keep in your pack, don't be afraid or keep an eye out when you see those things along the trail or along your ride to grab a couple so you have them in camp. Speaking of cooking in camp, number 10, people get worked up. How am I gonna cook at camp? What am I gonna make? Well, the answer to that, if you're anxious about it, is don't. You can eat on the road, you can eat at a restaurant. There's nothing wrong with that. You can eat at a gas station. That's when I do most of my eating. When I'm on longer trips, you have to stop for gas on a motorcycle. I often will just buy a corn dog or something and keep riding. Is it the best for you? No. But are you on the road every day of the year? No. If you want to eat like crap for a week or so now and then, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. You can eat along the way or just buy things like a sandwich or a bag of jerky. Again, not a balanced meal. I understand we're not talking about nutrition here. But if camping while cooking is something you're concerned about, or it seems too complicated, or you don't want to buy gear for, or you don't know what gear to have, you don't have to do it. Or you can just boil water and put it in a bag meal. I've done that a ton of times. If you're concerned about cooking while camping, you don't have to. That's number 10. And the number 11 moto camping hack is garbage bag. We always want to practice leave no trace. We want to pack our garbage in and pack it out. So you should try to keep 1 or 2 big garbage bags in your backpack or your panniers at all times. But also that big trash bag has a ton of other uses. You can lay it on the ground and stand on it to change your shoes if it's wet, or change your clothes if it's wet. You can use it as a tablecloth. You can cook on it. You can rip 3 holes, 1 in each bottom corner and 1 in the center of the bottom, and put it over you as a makeshift rain jacket if you get caught in a sudden thunderstorm or something. You can wear it under your jacket to keep it from getting torn up by the wind, but also prevent water from getting to your skin. Always carry trash bags. I always have a couple, either big kitchen bags or big like lawn garden bags. They've been lifesavers in multiple situations, and I have worn a trash bag poncho more times than I care to count. That's my rapid fire 11 motorcycle camping hacks for you to think about and consider. If we have relevant gear, I'll link it for you in the description. And of course, the 12th hack, as always, is shop at motocampnerd.com, the only site on the internet dedicated solely to the needs of motorcycle campers. So anything you buy on there is going to work for moto camping. It's been specially selected for size, quality, and longevity by our founder and the guru of camping himself, the other Ben. Motocampnerd.com has all the gear you need so that you can pack small and camp easy.